Every year, thousands of cat owners unknowingly feed their beloved pets foods that slowly damage their health. The wrong bargain cat food can cost you thousands in vet bills down the road. And the scary part? Many of these products sit right there on supermarket shelves with colorful packaging and promises of complete nutrition. But vets know the truth, and today we're pulling back the curtain on 10 cheap cat food types that veterinarians wish would disappear from stores forever. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to avoid and what to feed your cat instead. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. Which cat food are you currently using, and have you noticed any health issues with your cat? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you care about your cat's health and want to learn more about proper pet nutrition, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our videos. Your support helps us create more content like this to keep your furry friends healthy and happy. Now, let's talk about why cheap cat foods are actually dangerous for your cat. Understanding this will help you make sense of everything else we cover today. The fundamental problem starts with what cats actually are: obligate carnivores. This isn't just a fancy term. It means cats have zero nutritional requirement for carbohydrates. Their bodies are designed to get energy and nutrients from animal protein and fat, not from corn, wheat, rice, peas, or potatoes. Yet, when you look at many budget cat foods, you'll find these plant-based fillers dominating the ingredient list. Here's what happens behind the scenes. Manufacturing cat food is expensive when you use real meat. Animal protein costs significantly more than corn or wheat gluten. So companies looking to maximize profits have figured out they can legally meet minimum nutritional standards by using cheap plant fillers combined with just enough animal protein to pass basic requirements. They add synthetic vitamins and minerals to make up for what's missing, and suddenly you have a product that looks complete on paper but fails cats in real life. The problems compound when manufacturers use vague ingredients like meat byproducts or animal digest. Byproducts can include organ meats, which are actually nutritious, but they can also include beaks, feet, feathers, and other low-value tissues. When a label doesn't specify the source, you have no idea what quality you're getting. Batch to batch, the formula could be completely different, which wreaks havoc on a cat's sensitive digestive system. Then there are the preservatives. Cheap dry foods often rely on synthetic chemicals like BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin to extend shelf life. These additives have been linked to oxidative stress and potential long-term health problems in animals. Better quality foods use natural preservatives like mixed tocopherols, which is just vitamin E, or rosemary extract. The difference in cost is minimal, but budget manufacturers stick with the controversial chemicals anyway. When cats eat these low-quality foods day after day, the effects accumulate. High carbohydrate loads stress their metabolism because they lack the enzymes to process plant matter efficiently. This leads to obesity, which then cascades into diabetes, joint problems, and heart disease. The lack of moisture in dry kibble, especially cheap dry kibble, contributes to chronic dehydration. Cats evolved getting most of their water from prey, not from a water bowl. When they eat nothing but dry food made from low-quality ingredients, their kidneys and urinary tracts suffer. You start seeing expensive conditions like kidney disease, bladder stones, and urinary blockages, problems that could have been prevented with better nutrition from the start. Vets see this pattern constantly. A cat comes in overweight with dull fur and chronic diarrhea. The owner's feeding an ultra-cheap kibble bought in bulk. The vet recommends switching to a better food, and within weeks the cat's coat improves, the digestive issues clear up, and energy levels increase. It's not magic, it's simply giving the cat what its body actually needs. So, with that foundation, let's go through the 10 specific types of cheap cat foods that vets want you to avoid at all costs. Number 1. Ultra-cheap big bag dry kibble. You've seen these at every supermarket, huge bags, sometimes 15 or 20 pounds, sold at incredibly low prices per kilogram.
The packaging is bright and colorful, often featuring cartoon cats or cheerful mascots designed to catch your eye. The label promises complete nutrition for all life stages. It seems like a smart, economical choice, especially if you have multiple cats. But when you flip that bag over and read the ingredient list, the truth becomes clear. The first ingredient is typically corn gluten meal, or wheat. Sometimes it's ground yellow corn followed by corn gluten meal, which means corn appears twice in the top three. Animal protein, if it appears at all, is buried halfway down the list, and it's usually something vague like meat and bone meal or animal fat with no species identified. This is a massive red flag. Quality foods specify exactly what animal the protein comes from: chicken meal, turkey, salmon, duck. When the label hides behind generic terms, it suggests the manufacturer is using whatever cheap protein source is available that week, and the quality is inconsistent at best. These ultra-cheap kibbles are essentially plant-based cereals with just enough animal protein to meet minimal legal requirements. Cats eating these foods are filling their stomachs but not nourishing their bodies. Over time, you see predictable problems: weight gain because those carbohydrates get stored as fat, dull, greasy coats because there aren't enough quality fatty acids, increased hairballs because the poor nutrition affects skin and coat health, chronic digestive upset because the cat's gut isn't designed to process all those grains and fillers. Vets see these cats on these diets and immediately know what's happening. The food is cheap for a reason. It's made from the absolute lowest cost ingredients that can legally be called cat food. When the manufacturer is spending 50 cents per kilogram on ingredients, you can't expect your cat to thrive. If the ingredient list reads like a bakery instead of a butcher shop, you're not feeding a species-appropriate diet, and your cat will pay the price with their health. Number 2. Foods with vague meat byproducts as main protein. When you see meat byproducts, animal byproducts, or poultry byproduct meal listed as the main protein without any specific animal named, that's another major warning sign. Byproducts themselves aren't automatically bad. In fact, organ meats like liver, kidney, and heart are incredibly nutritious for cats. These are parts of the animal that wild cats would naturally consume. The problem is when the label doesn't specify what those byproducts actually are or where they came from. A food that lists chicken liver or turkey heart is being transparent. You know exactly what you're getting. But when it just says meat byproducts, that could include almost anything. It might be organ meats one batch, then beaks and feet the next, then rendered tissue from an unspecified source. This inconsistency means the nutritional content varies wildly, and your cat's digestive system never adapts properly. It's like eating a completely different food every time you open a new bag. Vets worry about these vague byproducts for several reasons. First, the quality is unknown and inconsistent. Second, the contamination risk is higher when you don't know the source. Some cheap byproducts have been found to contain traces of euthanasia drugs, heavy metals, or bacteria because the rendering process used inferior quality tissues. Third, when manufacturers won't tell you what animal the protein comes from, it usually means they're using whatever is cheapest at the moment, and cheap rarely means good quality. A responsible pet food company has nothing to hide. They'll proudly list chicken, chicken veal, chicken liver, salmon, turkey, and so on. When you see those vague terms, the company is being deliberately unclear, and that should make you very cautious about feeding that food to your cat. Nutritionally. The carbohydrate content in these foods can reach 30 to 40% on a dry matter basis. For a cat, that's far too high. Their bodies aren't designed to process that much plant matter. In the wild, a cat's natural diet contains less than 5% carbohydrates. When we feed them foods loaded with peas and potatoes, we're forcing their metabolism to deal with something it didn't evolve to handle. The result is predictable. Cats gain weight because excess carbs get stored as fat. Their blood sugar spikes after meals, stressing the pancreas and increasing diabetes risk over time. Some cats develop chronic digestive problems, soft stools, gas, or vomiting because their short digestive tract can't efficiently break down all those plant fibers. And because these fillers are less bioavailable than animal protein, cats often feel hungry even after eating a full meal, leading to overeating and more weight gain. Manufacturers use these plant proteins and starches because they're cheap and they help the kibble hold its shape during processing. It's about manufacturing convenience and profit margins, not about what's best for your cat. Vets know that when carbs dominate the ingredient list, the food is designed for the manufacturer's bottom line, not for your cat's health.
Number 4. Treat-like foods marketed as meals. This category is especially concerning because it tricks owners into thinking they're feeding something healthy and fun when they're actually creating serious nutritional deficiencies. These are products that look and smell like crunchy snacks or treat nuggets, but are packaged or marketed in ways that suggest they can be fed as a complete daily diet. The problem is these treats are designed to be hyper-palatable. They're loaded with flavor enhancers, salt, and fat to make cats crave them. The carbohydrate content is often extremely high because treats are usually baked or fried for that crunchy texture. And critically, they're not formulated to provide complete nutrition. They lack adequate levels of taurine, an essential amino acid cats can't make themselves. They're short on omega fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. They're basically junk food. When owners feed these as meals, especially to picky cats who refuse other foods, the cat ends up malnourished. You might not see symptoms immediately, but over months, taurine deficiency leads to serious heart disease, dilated cardiomyopathy, and vision problems. The lack of balanced nutrients causes coat issues, muscle wasting, and immune system problems. And all the while, the cat seems happy because the food tastes good. Vets hate these products because they exploit the bond between owner and cat. The cat begs for the treats, the owner gives in because they love their cat and want to make them happy, and the manufacturer profits while the cat's health quietly deteriorates. If it looks, smells, and tastes like a snack food, treat it like a snack. Occasional treats are fine, but never as your cat's main meal. Real cat food might not smell as enticing to you, but it provides the nutrition your cat needs to thrive. Number 5. Foods with artificial preservatives. Many cheap dry cat foods rely on synthetic preservatives like BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole, BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene, and ethoxyquin to keep the food from spoiling. These chemicals extend shelf life significantly, which is great for the manufacturer and the retailer, but questionable for your cat's health. Here's the issue. BHA and BHT are both listed as possible human carcinogens by some health agencies, and while the levels in pet food are considered legally safe, long-term exposure raises concerns. Studies in laboratory animals have linked these preservatives to liver damage, behavioral changes, and increased oxidative stress. Ethoxyquin, which was originally developed as a rubber stabilizer, has been restricted in human food in many countries, but is still allowed in pet food in some regions. The frustrating part is that safer alternatives exist and work just fine. Natural preservatives like mixed tocopherols, vitamin E, rosemary extract, and citric acid effectively prevent rancidity without the health concerns. Many premium and mid-range cat foods now use these natural options exclusively. The cost difference is minimal, but budget brands stick with BHA and BHT purely to save a few cents per bag. When you see these synthetic preservatives listed, it tells you the manufacturer prioritized cost savings over your cat's well-being. Vets prefer foods preserved naturally because why take unnecessary risks with chemicals that might cause long-term harm when better options are available? Your cat is eating this food every single day for years. Even small amounts of questionable additives accumulate over time and can contribute to chronic inflammation, liver stress, and other health issues that shorten your cat's lifespan. Number 6. Foods dominated by corn, wheat, and soy. Some of the cheapest cat foods on the market are built around corn, wheat, and soy because these are among the least expensive bulk ingredients available. You'll see corn in multiple forms on the label. Ground corn, corn gluten meal, corn flour, corn bran. Same with wheat, wheat flour, wheat gluten, wheat middlings. These plant proteins are used to boost the protein percentage on the guaranteed analysis, making the food look adequate on paper, even though the protein isn't from animal sources. The problem is threefold. First, cats have no biological requirement for these grains. They provide calories, yes, but not the nutrients a cat's body is optimized to use. Second, the protein from corn and wheat is incomplete for cats. It lacks essential amino acids only animal tissue provides. So even if the label says 30% protein, if most of that protein comes from corn gluten, your cat isn't getting what it needs. Third, wheat and soy are common allergens in cats. Many cats develop food sensitivities to these ingredients, leading to chronic skin issues, ear infections, digestive upset, and vomiting. Vets see this pattern regularly. A cat has been eating a corn and soy-heavy food for years. The owner brings it in for chronic itching, hair loss, and recurrent ear infections. They've tried antibiotics, steroids, expensive treatments, but nothing works long-term. The vet asks about diet, sees the bargain food loaded with wheat and soy, and recommends switching to a protein-based formula. Within weeks, the symptoms clear up. The food was the root cause all along. A little grain in cat food isn't automatically harmful. Some mid-range foods include a small amount of rice or oats as binders, and that's fine in moderation. But when the food is mostly corn and soy, you're essentially feeding breakfast cereal to a carnivore. That's not appropriate nutrition, and your cat will eventually show the signs of the deficiency, whether it's through allergies, poor coat quality, or more serious metabolic issues. Number 7. Mystery flavor and artificial color bombs. Walk down the cat aisle and you'll see some bags of kibble in bright reds, greens, yellows, and oranges. The pieces look like little colorful shapes, stars, hearts, fishies, designed to appeal to human eyes. But here's the thing, cats don't care about color. They don't see the world the way we do, and food color has zero impact on palatability for them. Those artificial dyes are added purely for marketing, to make you, the owner, think the food looks fresh, fun, and appealing. The problem is these additives add no nutritional value whatsoever. Worse, some of these additives have been linked to hyperactivity, allergic reactions, and digestive irritation in sensitive animals. Some countries have banned certain food dyes in human products because of health concerns, yet these same dyes still appear in cheap pet foods. Ingredients like red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, and blue 2 are common in low-quality kibbles. Additionally, these foods often include artificial flavors, vague ingredients listed as just artificial flavor or natural flavor, without specifying what they are. These are chemical compounds designed to make otherwise bland, low-quality ingredients smell and taste appealing. A high-quality food doesn't need these tricks. Real meat, fish, and organ tissue are naturally palatable to cats. When a food needs heavy flavor coatings and bright colors, it's usually compensating for poor base ingredients. Vets recommend avoiding these products not just because the additives are questionable, but because they signal a larger problem. If a manufacturer prioritizes making the food look cute to humans over nutritional quality, their values are in the wrong place. Your cat deserves food made for its biological needs, not food designed to catch your eye on a shelf. Number 8. Wet foods that are mostly gravy and gels. Not all cheap cat foods are dry kibble. Some of the worst offenders are inexpensive canned or pouch foods that look appealing at first glance, but contain very little actual nutrition. You open the package and it's mostly liquid, thick gravy or gel, with a few tiny shreds of something that might be meat floating around. These products are often thickened with wheat gluten, modified food starch, or carrageenan. The moisture content is high, which is good because cats need hydration, but the protein content is extremely low. You're essentially paying for water, thickeners, and marketing, not real nutrition. If you calculate the actual grams of protein per serving, these foods often fall far below what a cat needs to maintain muscle mass and energy. The danger is that many cats find these foods highly palatable because of the added flavor enhancers and gravies. They'll eagerly lick up the sauce and leave behind what little meat there is. Owners see their cat eating enthusiastically and assume the food must be good, but the cat is basically consuming flavored liquid and not much else. Over time, this leads to muscle loss, lethargy, and nutritional deficiencies, especially if this is the cat's primary source. Vets prefer wet foods that show visible chunks of meat, not just gravy. A quality canned food should look and smell like meat, not like thickened soup. If your cat is eating mostly sauce and barely any meat, you're not providing adequate nutrition. Wet food is excellent for cats because of the moisture content, but it has to actually contain substantial animal protein to be beneficial.
Number 9. Foods with repeated quality or safety concerns. Some budget cat food brands have earned a reputation for poor quality control over the years. They've been involved in multiple recalls for contamination, nutrient imbalances, foreign materials, or bacterial issues like salmonella. A single recall can happen to any manufacturer, and responsible companies handle it quickly, transparently, and fix the underlying problem. But when a brand shows a pattern of repeated recalls, that indicates deeper issues with sourcing, manufacturing, and testing. These problems can include anything from excess vitamin D, which causes kidney failure, to deficient thiamine, leading to neurological damage. Some recalls have involved physical contamination like metal fragments or plastic pieces in the food. Others involved bacterial contamination that made both cats and their owners sick. In some cases, foods contained euthanasia drugs traced back to rendered ingredients of questionable origin. Vets keep track of these patterns. When they see the same brands repeatedly appearing on recall lists, they lose trust in those companies. They know that quality control costs money, and budget manufacturers often cut corners in testing and ingredient sourcing to maintain low prices. The result is products that may be unsafe or nutritionally inadequate hitting the market before problems are caught. Before buying a cat food, especially a cheap one, take a moment to search online for recall history. If you see multiple incidents over several years, that's a serious red flag. Your cat's health is too important to gamble on a brand with a history of failures. Even if the current bags on the shelf are fine, the pattern suggests you can't rely on consistency from that company. Number 10. One-size-fits-all cheap diets for every age and condition. Finally, beware of ultra-cheap generic cat foods labeled for all life stages. These formulas claim to be suitable for kittens, adults, and seniors alike, and while that sounds convenient, it's actually problematic. Kittens need significantly more calories, protein, and specific nutrients like DHA for brain development than adult cats. Senior cats often benefit from kidney-supportive formulas with adjusted protein and phosphorus levels. A single cheap formula can't optimally meet all these different needs. What happens is that these all-life-stage foods are formulated to meet the minimum requirements for growth, which is the most demanding life stage. So they technically pass regulatory standards for kittens, but that doesn't mean they're ideal for adult or senior cats. They might be too calorie-dense for a sedentary adult, leading to obesity. They might have phosphorus levels too high for a senior cat with early kidney disease. And they almost certainly lack the nuanced nutrition that a high-quality life-stage-specific food would provide. Vets prefer foods tailored to the cat's age and health status. Kitten formulas designed to support rapid growth. Adult formulas balanced for maintenance. Senior formulas that address common aging issues like joint health, kidney function, and reduced calorie needs. When a single bargain formula claims to be perfect for every cat from 8 weeks to 18 years, it's a sign the manufacturer is prioritizing simplicity and cost over optimal nutrition. If you have a kitten, feed kitten food. If you have a healthy adult, feed adult maintenance food. If you have a senior, especially one with any health issues, talk to your vet about an appropriate diet. Don't trust a one-size-fits-all cheap formula to meet your cat's individual needs. The few extra dollars you spend on the right food will pay off in better health and fewer vet visits. So those are the 10 types of cheap cat foods vets want you to avoid. But what should you feed instead? Let's talk about better options that won't destroy your budget but will actually support your cat's health. First, look for foods where named animal proteins are the first and ideally second or third ingredients. Chicken, turkey, salmon, duck, rabbit, these should dominate the list, not corn or wheat. If you see chicken meal or salmon meal near the top, that's actually a good sign. Meal is concentrated protein with the water removed, so it's a dense source of amino acids. Second, pay attention to carbohydrate levels. While cat food labels don't always list carbs directly, you can estimate by looking at the ingredient list. If you see multiple grains, peas, potatoes, or starches in the first several ingredients, carbs are probably high. Better foods use minimal fillers and focus on meat. Third, incorporate wet food into your cat's diet. This is one of the most important things you can do for long-term health. Wet food provides hydration, which supports kidney and urinary tract function. It's lower in carbs than most dry food. And it's generally more bioavailable, meaning your cat extracts nutrients more efficiently. Even if budget is tight, using mid-quality canned food as the base of the diet and supplementing with a bit of dry for convenience is far better than feeding only cheap kibble. Fourth, read labels carefully. Avoid vague terms like meat byproducts without a species name.
Avoid artificial preservatives like BHA and BHT. Avoid foods with artificial colors and flavors. Look for natural preservatives, clear ingredient lists, and brands that publish feeding trials and nutritional analysis. Fifth, consider cost per day, not just cost per bag. A cheap food that's mostly fillers means your cat needs to eat more to feel full and get adequate nutrition, and it creates health problems that lead to expensive vet bills. A moderately priced, high-quality food costs a bit more upfront, but your cat eats less because it's nutrient-dense and you save money on vet visits. Over your cat's lifetime, feeding better food is actually more economical. Sixth, transition gradually. If you're switching from a cheap food to a better one, do it slowly over 7 to 10 days. Mix increasing amounts of the new food with decreasing amounts of the old food to avoid digestive upset. Cats can be resistant to change, especially if they're addicted to the heavy flavor coatings on junk food, but persistence pays off. Finally, consult your vet, especially if your cat has existing health issues like kidney disease, diabetes, urinary problems, or food allergies. Some cats need prescription diets. Others benefit from specific ingredient profiles. Your vet can guide you toward the best option for your individual cat's needs. The bottom line is this: cheap cat food is cheap for a reason. Manufacturers cut costs by using low-quality ingredients, vague proteins, excessive fillers, and questionable additives. In the short term, your cat might seem fine, but over months and years, these diets contribute to obesity, diabetes, kidney disease, digestive problems, allergies, and a host of other issues that reduce quality of life and lifespan. Vets see this every day, cats suffering from preventable conditions caused by poor nutrition. Your cat depends on you to make the right choices. They can't read ingredient labels or understand nutrition, they just eat what you put in front of them. Spending a little more on quality food now can save you thousands in vet bills later, not to mention giving your cat a longer, healthier, happier life. Check your cat's food label today. Compare it against the red flags we discussed. If you're feeding one of these cheap, low-quality options, consider making a change. Your cat deserves better, and you have the power to give it to them. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with other cat owners who need to hear this information. Drop a comment below and let me know which food your cat is currently eating. Are you going to make any changes after watching this? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on pet health and nutrition. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one where we continue helping you give your pets the best life possible.